Welcome to the Charismatic Cheetah podcast, where signs, wonders, and sound doctrine meet. Today, I have a very special guest on. L.A. Marzulli has come back on the show for a second time. We're going to be discussing his new film, Holy Shroud, Holy Fire, which is about the much debated Shroud of Turin and the Holy Fire that is completely enigmatic to me. I didn't know about it until I watched the film. So today we're going to be kind of focusing on the Shroud of Turin, but I definitely want to put some teasers out there so you can go out and get the film and check it out yourself. Great film. I've watched it like probably 4 or 5 times.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's a great film. But LA, thank you for coming on again. Could you just give us a brief overview of what the film's about? And also, I'm curious, what inspired you to make why make this film?
Well, the holy. This is what the cover looks like, and Jeffrey Martis did an amazing job. I just love it. It's so edgy looking. It's got this supernatural bent to it. I've always been intrigued with the Holy Shroud. Always from the day I became a Christian 45 years ago, which is older than you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And I walked into a Christian bookstore, and there was, the headshot, which is this on a book cover. And I immediately was drawn to it. I went, oh my gosh, there he is. And I walked up, bought the book, came home, read it in 1 or 2 sittings. So the film really concentrates on 3 aspects. One is the shroud, and we'll get into the particulars of that. The second one is the Sudarium of Oviedo. Not many people know about the Sudarium of Oviedo.
I didn't.
The third is the Holy Fire, which I didn't know about till a little over a year ago when Bob Ulrich called me up and said, hey, you know anything about the Holy Fire? I go, holy what? Oh, yeah, this has been going on in Jerusalem for 1,700 years. Excuse me, why haven't we heard of it? And it's just Russ Briald. I'm quoting Russ here. Russ goes, isn't it just like the Lord to hide something in plain sight and then in these last days kind of bring it out? Which is exactly what we think. So you've got the Shroud of Turin, and when you take let's walk through the shroud. So the shroud is roughly a 3.5 foot in width, 14 foot in length burial cloth. It bears the very faint image of a crucified man. You can see it there. So if you stand back about 6 feet from the shroud, this is what you see. There's no detail. You can tell it's a man. You can kind of make out the arm is like right there and the face and the legs, but there's really no detail. And the shroud was displayed in Turin, Italy for years, for centuries. And no one ever saw but what I'm about to show you. No one ever saw it. So it's been venerated. It's in the Gospels that the linen cloths were there. And one of those linen cloths was folded. And we'll get into that, what that one was. And all this, if you know the Romans are coming in, and the apostles did in AD 70, they're fleeing Jerusalem. Not all of them, but probably most of them. And they're taking these artifacts with them. And these artifacts would be very, very precious, to the disciples. And so one of the very enigmatic clues to the shroud are the pollen samples that were on the shroud. So I'm getting way ahead of myself as always, but in 1979, 1980, right around there, the Shroud of Turin Research Project went into Turin, Italy. They were given 120 hours nonstop around the clock to examine the shroud. And one of the scientists there took many different pollen samples of the shroud. And it shows that the shroud went from Israel, and some of the pollen is only found in Jerusalem. And some of the pollen is only found in Jerusalem during a certain period of time. And that period of time happens to be Passover.
Yeah.
But what are the odds of that? Some kind of forger is going to figure this all out? I don't think so. It goes to Turkey, then it goes through Europe, and then it winds up in Turin, Italy. So in 1898, photography is still very much in its infancy, but it's there. And pictures are being taken, even, decades before that. Civil War pictures are being taken. So this is like, 25, 30 years, but they still have these very primitive wood box cameras. Glass plates are going in. You take a photograph, you take the glass plate out, put it in the holder, put another one in, go back to the dark room, you have a solution, and you slowly develop when you take a photograph, it's a negative. So you have a negative image, and then you're going to see, you take that and you create a positive image. So this is a negative image on the shroud. Well, we didn't know that for centuries until 1898. Seconda Pia is in Turin, Italy, he's hired by the church to take the first photographs of the shroud. So he does. And he goes in and he takes a close-up of the face. So here he's with his camera, but he goes in and he pushes in on the face. Now he's in his dark room and he's developing the film, developing the glass plate, not the film. Film hasn't been invented yet. The glass plate, going like this with the solution. This is what he sees. And he goes, I'm the first person in 2,000 years to see the face of Christ, the face of Jesus. And I'll show it to you again. There it is. And that stood the entire planet on its head. It's almost 2,000 years, right, since he was crucified and buried. And that cloth, that shroud, was wrapped. He laid on the bottom of it, and then it was folded over. And this is why the shroud has two distinct images, a frontal and a dorsal. They're not connected in any way. And, that's a matter of all sorts of scientific inquiry. And no one knows how it was created. There's no paint on it, no paint at all. It's not a painted image. It's not something that was done with ink or dye or anything else. This is what it looks like. But when Seconda Pia developed that, this is what he saw. And what you see here is the image of the crucified man in repose. He's dead. It's rigor mortis. Just look right here at the brutal scourging. I mean, we are talking, look at that.
Wow.
It's unbelievably brutal. I mean, he's flayed alive. There's no coming back from this at all. And he knows it. That's why he doesn't say anything, because he knows where he's going to go. And he gets on the cross and he succumbs very early, just a matter of hours. Usually it would take sometimes 2 or 3 days, sometimes even longer, for someone to die. But he dies very, very quickly. But the agony is excruciating. I mean, the nails going through the palm like this and out the side where the wrist, it's actually comes out here. So that's how he's able to hang. And then the piercings of the feet are tucked it's so torturous, so barbaric. It's a helmet of thorns. I mean, if you just took one pin and you went like that to your skull, I mean, you'd be in agony. He's got a helmet of thorns, which he's losing all his blood from the scourging. He's in shock. He stumbles. And who wouldn't? My gosh, the fact that he even got to Calvary in itself is just unbelievable. And when you look at the dorsal image, I don't have a picture of that here, but the back, it's everywhere. It's his buttocks, his back, his thighs, his calves. It's everywhere. They have literally flayed him alive. And so he's hanging there. And by the way, he's naked. There is no loincloth. He's completely naked. And the crowd is yelling and screaming, he saved others, come down. They know he can come down. The crowd knows on some aspect who he is, that he's done miracles, that he can do stuff like this. Well, come down. They're taunting him, come down. Mary, the two Marys, Mary his mother and Mary Magdalene, are there along with John. And I think the other disciples are dispersed in the crowd. I think Peter's there looking at it, hiding himself. He's embarrassed. He's seeing it. They're all going, there's no way he's going to come down. The dragon, Satan, is going, well, they're not going to kill him. They can't. How do you kill God? You can't kill God. He's got to come down. The two Marys and John, they know exactly who he is. They know he's the Son of God. They know that. Mary especially, both Marys, they know who he is. Surely that's why they're there. Any second he's going to come down, heal himself, show who he is, usher in the kingdom. That's
Yeah.
what they're waiting for. It's not what happens. God dies. How do you kill God? How do you kill God? He's fully God and fully man. Fully God and fully man. I and the Father are one. I mean, there it is. How do you do that? No one sees it coming. The body lays in repose. There it is. The body is in the tomb for 3 days, but his spirit, Jesus' spirit and soul, go down where? To Tartarus, to proclaim to the angels, fallen angels, who are locked there, no jailbreak. You're not getting out. It's checkmate. I've won. Then he goes into the bosom of Abraham and he sets the captives free. That's the second thing. Then, and I love this, this is a prototype of the rapture of the church. The dead in Christ will rise first, and we who are alive and remain will be caught up together with those in the air, those in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air. This is a prototype of the rapture, because the body's dead, but his spirit goes back into the body and he's resurrected. I mean, that in itself is just like, what are we looking at? And that resurrection produces this image on the shroud. So people go, well, LA, this has been debunked a bunch of times. Has it really? Or is there a managed agenda? Has it really been debunked? Like the samples that were taken from, I believe, this side of the cloth right here. One little corner. That's what they were taking for the carbon-14 dating. But they had protocols set in place. They were supposed to take 3 samples from 3 different places on the shroud. And they didn't do that. They walked in and shut the whole thing down, the guys in the suits from Turin. And then 3 hours, 4 hours later, they bring them all back in. Hey, guess what, guys? You can only take it from, where is it? From this corner right here. So they do. And it's a medieval date. It's 15th century. Okay, great. Everybody goes, what? But we didn't know about the sample. We didn't know where the sample came from. We didn't know that they changed the protocols 2 years later. Enter Joe Marino, who is one of the principal interviews that we did in the film. He's written several books on the shroud. He was married to this woman, and Joe was in a monastery. He was a monk. He was in a monastery.
I thought I heard him say something like that in
Yeah,
the film.
he
I
is.
was like,
He was
did I
in a
catch that right?
Yeah, he was in a monastery, and he goes online, meets this woman, Sue, and they're both interested in the shroud. And one thing leads to another, and Joe Lee, he realizes he's in love with her. She's in love with him. They have this mutual fascination with the shroud. They get married. They write this paper. The paper is read at one of the Shroud conferences. Barry Schwartz was the original photographer of the Shroud Research Project team, Shroud of Turin Research Project, and he posted on his website. And Ray Rogers, who was part of the team, says, I could debunk that in 5 minutes. He goes down to his lab, and he's got samples from the actual C14 dating. He's got a sample of it, puts it under the microscope. To his amazement, what he sees is end-to-end splicing. It's a patch job. And this throws the carbon-14 dating completely askew, which is what many of us believe. So there's the second part of the film is the Sudarium of Oviedo. So when Jesus is hanging on the cross, after he dies, Joseph of Arimathea goes and asks Pilate for the body. So now they go and they take him down. Jesus is dead. Got the wound in the side right here. There it is right there. Sorry. There it is right there. Got the wound in the side. There are the nail prints right there. See the helmet of thorns?
Wow.
There's the wound on the side. And they give him the body. And so they go take him down. But out of respect for the dead, they take a cloth, which is about 4 feet long, and they wrap the head with the cloth. Out of respect for the dead, out of respect for Jesus. They take him down. They put him in the tomb. They roll the stone because it's Passover, and they leave. When they come back, that face cloth that was wrapped around the body is folded up, because when he was put into the shroud, when the shroud covered him, right? He's laid on the shroud, and then they cover him with the one. He's not wrapped up in it yet. He's just laying in it. They weren't finished with the spices and all the other burial stuff. That's why they come back. But the sudarium, that cloth that went around the head, that is folded up and near the body. And we hear that in the Gospels. The linen cloths and also the other cloth folded up. The sudarium of Oviedo has been in Spain since the 7th century. Since the 7th century. So it's been there a long time.
Long time.
And guess what? When you take the sudarium of Oviedo and you overlay it on the Shroud of Turin, there are 120 to 140 points of congruency. In other words, that shroud and that sudarium, the sudarium was laid over that person on the shroud. No doubt about it. 120 points of congruency. And the sudarium is just this bloody mess. It's just this blood and effusion, and it's like there's no image on it at all because it's not part of where the body was. It's laid to the side. It's the cloth that's folded up and laid to the side of where the body was. I mean, it's the most profound thing. And, you know, skeptics can jump up and down no matter what you show them. You're never going to believe it anyway. I mean, you know, it's just this the way. I mean, even Jesus says, you know, even if somebody raises from the dead, you're not going to believe it anyway. I mean, I know skeptics, no matter what you throw at them, like our DNA evidence on the Paraka skulls behind me. Oh, it's contaminated. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Well, go down and do your own stinking research and prove us wrong. But they never do that. They just, you know, ad hominem attacks and throw darts and all this other stuff. So AD 70, so this is decades now after the crucifixion, and the Romans come in, they lay siege to Jerusalem for about 3 years, and they finally breach the walls. They come in, there's a famine, people are boiling their kids. It's an absolute disaster. The spirit has left the temple. The spirit has left the temple. It's not there anymore. And it actually dwelt on the Mount of Olives for a period of time, this light just dwelling on the Mount of Olives, and then it went up. And when it went up, the Christians left. Many of the Christians left Jerusalem, AD 70.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Before. And most people don't. These are the things you don't hear about in church.
Right.
But that's what happened. They left. And so the Romans come in and they raze the city completely. The Jews, 1 million Jews are slaughtered. It's a bloodbath.
Yeah.
And the Jews are not allowed to come back into Jerusalem. That's it. This is AD 70. So now fast forward about 60 years. Now it's AD 130. The Bar Kokhba revolt happens. And this time the Romans have had it up to here, not playing games. They come in, they forbid any Jew under penalty of death to even enter into Jerusalem. At this point in time, they do two things. Remember, in AD 70, they've raised the temple. So there is no more temple. So the Romans come in AD 130, and they create two pagan sites. They create and construct the temple of Jupiter on the Temple Mount. Total blasphemy. And where the crucifixion site was, Golgotha, place of a skull, and the tomb, they erect the Temple of Venus. And it stays that way for 300 years, essentially. And in the 4th century, Constantine becomes emperor, and his mother, Helen, goes down to Jerusalem and goes, you know, and the edict of toleration, the Jews are allowed back and everything else. And she goes, well, where was the crucifixion site? Local knowledge. Everybody knows who's left in Jerusalem. See that temple over there, the Temple of Venus? That's where it was. They deconstruct it. Sure enough, they find Golgotha. They find the place of the cross where it was. It's there today. The stone is completely fractured from an earthquake, and then below it is the tomb. And they go in, and everything is there. I mean, there it is. I mean, they find the slab, and they construct the first church of the Holy Sepulchre. And according to Gregory of Nyssa, Peter saw the holy fire, this flame that appeared over the tomb. Okay, so some of you out there, you know, well, that's like, you know, I'm not buying that. You know, God doesn't do power tricks, and this is, I have to sound as negative as possible.
Yeah.
You know? But let's walk through it. So when Moses sees the bush that burns but does not burn, what the heck is that? You tell me. When Abraham makes the covenant, what goes through the carcasses of the animals?
Fire. Yeah.
A
torch.
fire, flaming torch. What guides the Israelites through the wilderness?
Cloud of
Pillar
fire.
of flame, right? What appears over the apostles' heads at the day of Pentecost? Tongues of what? Fire.
Fire. Yeah.
I mean, hello, McFly. We're not making this stuff up. So the holy fire from the year 300 to the present day has manifested. There's a book by Harris Scarlakidis, I'm probably butchering his last name. It's on the holy fire, holy shroud, holy fire. We had access to it, but we really didn't use any of it in the film. And the bottom line is he's got all these accounts from different nationalities, different authors that talk about seeing the flame, seeing the holy fire. So today when you go, and by the way, we hired a remote Israeli film company to go into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. So Israel's at war, right? It's July or August of 2024, and we're filming this thing. It's actually a little later, more like September, October 2024. And we hire these guys and we go, well, we know you can't go in there with cameras. So you take your iPhone. They all had, iPhone 50s or whatever the heck is out. The latest iPhone. I think it's iPhone 16 or 15, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. They've got the latest ones, and they've got two of them. So we're here in the Santa Monica Mountains on Zoom, Zooming one of the guys. There's two guys. And one guy's on his cell phone, and the other guy is taking pictures. So he's got the guy on the cell phone's got the camera turned to the second guy filming everything on his iPhone in 4K, by the way, or even in 8K, right? And there's nobody in there because the war's going on. And they're there at 6 o'clock in the evening, which is the evening meal. Nobody's in the church. I mean, for us to rent that place out would have cost thousands of dollars. So they're on a Zoom chat with us here in the Santa Monica Mountains. It's 9 hours later, so it's early in the morning here. And we're, okay, great. No. Give me another shot of that. We're directing the filming from the Santa Monica Mountains. You can't make this stuff up. So the shots of the Holy Sepulchre, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, are just incredible. Just incredible. And the edicule, which is the building that surrounds the tomb, there was nobody in it. There's one guy, but he has shots of it. There's nobody in the edicule. We show the slab. Recent archaeological evidence showed that there was a garden around where the edicule was. There was a garden there. And it fits the biblical narrative. We have an archaeologist and a good friend of mine, Mano Gonzalez, who, there's three different sites. The garden tomb is one. Let me back that up. Church of the Holy Sepulchre is a traditional site. The garden tomb happened in the last century. Not buying that for a second. Then the third site is the Mount of Olives. But the Church of the Holy Sepulchre has been there. The Temple of Venus was constructed. They know, and then you've got all this other evidence. And the Holy Fire continues to manifest. It manifested this year. So the edicule has two windows in it on either side of it. So you can see in where, unless they block it off, when the Greek Orthodox patriarch goes in, and they may seal it up. I don't know. But before then, this is what's great about Harris Scarlakidis' book. There were people that were outside the edicule, and all of a sudden they have all these lamps hanging up in the sanctuary. The lamps would just light up like this. They would see the fire come in. So that's changed a lot in the last 100 years. So it used to be that the Orthodox patriarch would stand outside the edicule, and then when the fire ignited, he would go in. Now he goes in. So in my opinion, this is the real deal. Giulio Fanti is in the film. He's a colorful character. And there's always naysayers. I mean, you can go online and you can Google L.A. Marzulli and DNA evidence, and you'll see hit pieces written against me. There's always guys like that. So what's the truth? So Giulio Fanti's in the film, and he had just received the holy fire. So he takes this linen cloth. He's got two candles. One candle he lights with a cigarette lighter. The other one is the holy fire. and he puts a linen cloth over it, guess what? The one with the holy fire scorches the cloth like this. Like it looks, it's not an image, but it scorches the cloth like this. The other one burns through the cloth like that. So what are we looking at here? It's
real quick, LA. I just want to, for people who, because I didn't know anything about the holy fire before watching the doc. I mean, I think I heard about it, but I just kind of discounted it as like Roman Catholic myth. But just real quick, the holy fire, what exactly is that? Can you just explain, what they do, kind of what the procedure is when they light that?
Well, the procedure is the patriarch goes into the sealed edicule. He's searched. The edicule is searched. And by the way, there's Jews and Muslims that are involved in this. They're not looking for trickery here. Yeah. Everybody's searched. The place is sealed. He goes in. He utters some prayers, and then over the slab where the body lay, there's this like undulating plasma that manifests like this, and it turns into a pillar, and then boom, he lights his candles. He goes out. Everybody lights their candles. So for the first 10, 15 minutes, the fire doesn't burn. Wow. The fire does not act like normal fire. And we got a shot of, Giulio Fanti's going like this.
Yeah.
So here's the candles. He's like this right under his beard. I mean, any other candle is just going to go whoosh. I mean, you set your beard on fire. That's what's going to happen. It doesn't happen. Some woman is like this with the holy fire, under her arm like this. I mean, that, and she's wearing a sweater. That thing should go up like that. It doesn't.
I mean, I light a candle sometimes with a lighter, and it like burns just for like 2 seconds. I'm like, ow, my finger burns.
Yeah, so, there it is. So, we're looking at something that it's, you say, well, God doesn't do parlor tricks, and I get that. But this is the greatest event in human history, and it's been hidden from the West forever. I mean, when the Catholics and the Greek Orthodox, they call it the Great Schism. When they split, the Catholics said, nope, the holy fire is bogus. Don't pay any attention to it. So nobody in the West knew about it. But the Greek Orthodox have been celebrating this for centuries. For centuries. They all know about it. And, frankly, I would love to go there and see it for myself. It'd be so easy just to stick a camera in there and let everybody see it. But of course, we can't do that. We have to faith. Well, why can't we stick a camera in there? It's like, I mean, are you really afraid of scrutiny? The shroud has been scrutinized like more than any other artifact on the planet. No one's afraid of scrutinizing that. And it holds scrutiny. If it's a fake, then how was it done? There's $1 million reward right now. I'm pretty sure it's $1 million reward for someone who can duplicate the shroud. Gee, there's no takers. I wonder why. Because they can't. They don't know how it was done.
Yeah, at bare minimum, the shroud, even if it's someone faked it, it's not really the burial cloth of Jesus. Just the fact that the way they made it is a miracle in technology just by itself. Like just the amount of evidence on it. I want to go back to one point from the beginning, and you talked about the shroud being like a negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he took the picture, he was able to see the actual image. Is the shroud basically a negative image?
Correct.
Of somebody? And so when you can't really see the detail. Okay.
Until you do this.
That's crazy, because that's
completely crazy.
That's how photographs are made, with light.
That's my point. That's my point. If you have a camera with film in it, I mean, it's not a digital camera. You have an old-fashioned camera. It's not. That's why it doesn't work today with a cell phone. Gee, I don't see the shroud. But you got to have film. It's a negative image. So you're trying to tell me a 15th century forger somehow jumped through time and knew that photography would be invented? No, but the Lord knows. The Lord knows exactly what he's doing. So, for the skeptics, we'll always remain skeptical. That's what they do. No matter, I mean, even when the second coming happens and his feet touch the Mount of Olives, you're going to be, I'm not believing. That's got to be AI. No such thing as this. He didn't just put the Mount of Olives. That can't possibly be Jesus. This is some wacky Christian group trying to make us all believe in the second coming. They still won't believe it, because that's just how skeptics are. I mean, you can manifest something directly in front of them. You can show them this beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's not forged, that it's not a 15th century artifact. You can stack up the science behind it. Never good enough, because the skeptic will remain skeptical until he's hit over the head. And I don't mean that physically. I mean like Thomas. Until he puts the hand in the wounds, he won't believe. And Thomas, unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of people out there just like that. And when they see him, they will look on him, the Jews will look on him whom they have pierced and mourn for him as an only son. That's what they're doing, because all of a sudden they realize, oh my gosh, there he is. It's Yeshua. There he is. We killed him. And they did. People say, well, the Romans crucified him. No, yeah, I get that, because the Jews couldn't do capital punishment. But they say something. And, if you say this, well, you're an anti-Semite. No, Israel, and I just want to make it real clear, the Jews are in Israel, the remnant of them, and Israel is God's prophetic time clock. End of story. Jesus returns to the Mount of Olives, not Walla Walla, Michigan. The Jews are the end time prophetic time clock. But what I'm about to say is this. When Jesus is before Pilate and the Jews are gathered there, now remember, there's a lot of rabble rousers. There are a lot of Pharisees that are goading the crowd. And they say, his blood be upon us and upon our children.
Yeah.
They cursed themselves. That's not talked about. Most people never go there because, oh my gosh, but they did. They cursed themselves. And that's why the rest is history. But I will tell you something, and this is the hope. It's Amos 9, 14, and 15. It's prophetic, and it happened on May 14th, 1948. And all the synagogues were in sync. They telephoned each other. Hey, what scripture are we reading? Okay, we're reading Amos 9, 14 through 15. All the synagogues all over the globe are in sync. They know this, right? They're all in sync, reading the same passage. Amos 9, 14, and 15 is being read the week of May 14th, 1948. And it says this: I will bring back the captives of my people, Israel. Check. They will build the waste cities and inhabit them. Check. They will plant vineyards and drink the wine from them. Check. They will also plant gardens and eat the fruit from them. Check. I will plant them in their land, and never again will they be plucked up out of a land I have given them, says the Lord your God. So if Israel is pushed into the sea and no longer becomes a country, God's a liar. Can't follow him. Got to find somebody else. God's not a liar. He's not a liar. Right. And what was written will come to pass. What was foretold is unfolding. Do I give Israel a blank check? Absolutely not. Are there atrocities? Of course there are. Is the government corrupt on some level? All governments are corrupt on some level. What else is new? Humankind is humankind. I don't care whether they're Christian, Jew, or Muslim. It makes no difference. Corruption is just like, once it's in there, it's in there. But Israel, make no mistake about it, Israel is, and the Jews are God's timepiece. They are the end time prophetic clock. You can believe that. And if you believe it, you'll be able to understand where we are. If you don't believe it, good luck in trying to figure out where we are. And this is where replacement theology comes in. Oh, the church inherits all the promises of Israel. Wrong. This is where the seven mountains, we're gonna take the seven mountains back for Jesus. We're gonna usher in the kingdom. That's one of the most blasphemous things I've ever heard in my life. Are you kidding me? We're gonna do what? We're gonna take all these things and set the kingdom up, and they don't come back? No. The church fails completely in everything, and then he comes back. So you got replacement theology. You got amillennialism, which most of the Christian church believes in. Oh, there is no literal millennial. That's not going to happen. Once again, if you hold to an amillennial replacement theology, if you don't think these are the Jews, these are the Khazarians, then who's he coming back to? So you got to better phone him up. Better phone up the throne room. Excuse me, Jesus. Yes, this is the. We believe that these are not the Jews. These are the Khazarians. So you can't come back yet because these aren't the Jews. So you better tell him really quick, because I think we're approaching the day where he's going to come back. These are the Jewish people. Hitler had no problem figuring out who the Jews were. Yeah. The Arabs have no problem figuring out who the Jews. Of course, the part of history that people don't look at is after the Romans kicked all the Jews out, guess what? They inhabited the entire Middle East. There was a diaspora. Yes, some of them went up to Europe, but they went to Syria, what is now Syria. Lebanon, Iraq, Iran. And then when the Balfour Declaration happened in 1917, they all began to come back. And there was no latter rain in Israel for 1,000 years, over 1,000 years, well, actually close to 2,000 years. And you can't grow doodly squat in Israel without the latter rain. There's 2 rainy seasons. Without the latter rain, good luck. And the earthquakes, you think the hand of God's on this place? Absolutely. And the Turks completely denuded it. There was Mark Twain writes, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. Who cares? He's there. One guy on a camel. I mean, that's it. There's nobody there because you can't grow anything. Nobody cares. But the latter rain begins to fall. The earthquakes stop. 1917, the Balfour Declaration. 1948, the Jews declare, Israel declares itself a sovereign nation, and that's it. That's the plane takes off. We are now officially in the latter days, in the end times. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
So I imagine that kind of getting back to the very first question, that why did you make this film?
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
I'm sure that, if this really is the end times, which, amen, I hope so. You know what I mean? I'm ready. I'm ready. But then this is an important thing that because Jesus resurrected, that he was not only a historical figure, not only was he who he said he was, the Son of God, not only did he die on a Roman cross for our sins, bled and died for us, but he was raised on the third day, ascended. And by the way, there's 500 people or so at the ascension, and they still didn't believe. They saw resurrected Jesus, and they're like, I don't know. But he will be coming again. And so I imagine this probably has a lot to do with that idea, right?
Well, it does. It's like I've come to call the Shroud of Turin God's calling card, because that's really what it is. It's God's calling card. It's forensic evidence of the greatest event in all of history, the resurrection of the God-man. Look at the scourging. Look at the scourging. Look at the wounds on the back of the hand. Look at the blood right here coming out from the piercing of his side. Look at the face. Look at the face. Look at the helmet of thorns. Look at how he's pierced and broken. You can see the blood. Look at the brutality of the scourging. Yeah. Look at the brutality of the scourging. This is God's calling card. Mm. And he left it as forensic evidence of the greatest event in all, I'm trying to get this thing level, the greatest event in all of history, the resurrection of the God-man. There it is. And even with this, we made the film because, look, it does nothing to my faith. I came to the Lord before I knew anything about the shroud. What it does do is give me scientific proof, in my opinion, that he did rise from the dead, because no one can duplicate it, and they never will. And it's the face of the man on the shroud is Jesus of Nazareth, in my opinion. And it's forensic evidence of the greatest event in all of history. How would a medieval forgerer even know how to create something like this?
Yeah.
Where it's anatomically and forensically down to, and here's the other thing. The Romans used a whip called a flagrum, and a flagrum is a handle, and then it's got 3 thongs, leather thongs that are coming out of this thing. And out of the thongs, right, are pieces of metal or glass. So as the torturer, Roman soldier, is whipping Jesus, right, and he whips and then he pulls the thing out, every lash is 3 lashes. And there's a guy on his left and a guy on the right. He's whipped within an inch of his life. The scourging is incredibly severe. I mean, incredible. When I was doing that part in the film, man, I just openly wept. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
It's very, very intense.
Yeah. Well, LA, I want to respect your time. So thanks for coming on. Where can people, I believe I'm going to have an affiliate link in the description, right? I don't know. You can follow the link in the description I definitely want to encourage y'all to check out the film.
When you buy the film, then we're helping to support Michael's ministry, because we're kind of splitting the proceeds. But you can go to lamarzulli.com and order that. But the affiliate link will be below. And I would ask that you'd bless Michael too. You're blessing us, bless Michael. and what he's doing. And that's why we do this kind of partnership.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I want to encourage people to definitely go check it out. I mean, personally, I've seen a few of your films and it's definitely, I mean, production wise, I think it's the best one I've seen.
I agree. No,
I
I
haven't
agree.
watched all of them, but the best one I've seen so far, I'm like, this is really good.
And my business partner, Gil Zimmerman, I mean, Gil really brought his expertise as a filmmaker to the film. And, in part, that's why it's the best production value, because Gil's a good editor and a great cinematographer. And of course, we share directing and editing credits ourselves. But it was a good team effort, and Gil brought it over the goal line.
And to wrap up, just real quick, what would you say? So when I posted the announcement over the last few weeks that I'm going to have you on and we're going to be discussing the Shroud, I had believers who were genuine Christians. I don't have any reason to believe there weren't genuine believers, but they were kind of automatically like the Shroud is a hoax. The Shroud is this. I mean, honestly, that was my initial reaction too. Whenever I first heard about it, I was like, oh, it's just a Roman Catholic, myth. But then I started looking at the evidence. Think to like Gary Habermas, Dr. Gary Habermas played a huge role in that, me coming over to say, oh yeah, maybe this actually is. The evidence is pretty out there. But what would you say to the Christian watching this? Not the atheist who's just gonna discount everything, but to the Christian who believes in the resurrection. What would you say to them? Where would you point them? What would you say to them to maybe have them look into this some more?
Well, if you buy the film, then you got to watch the film, which is a great way to get educated. But if you don't want to buy the film before you get educated, go to shroud.com, www.shroud.com. Spend an hour there. Just spend an hour at shroud.com. Look at the evidence and start. The evidence is voluminous. It'll blow your mind.
It really is.
What we get is arrogance and ignorance, deadly combination. You put those two together, you think you know, but you don't know because you've never done any research on it. And we get people like this all the time. Well, have you done any research on the Shroud? Well, no, but I know it's a fake. Well, how do you know it's a fake? Well, I just know. Really? That's called arrogance and ignorance, deadly combination, because you've never done any research on it. So you have no idea what you're talking about. So call me back when you spend an hour or two on the Shroud and tell me how the heck was this image produced on the Shroud of Turin? Nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Yep. Amen. Well, LA, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Michael.
And as usual, maybe we can do another one soon. I want to talk about the Holy Fire some more. I want to dive into just that. Maybe we can look in the future of doing an episode just on that. But please go check out his film. Please like this video, subscribe, and most importantly, share. It really helps out the channel. There'll be some links in the description to check out the LA Marzulli's film. But there'll also be links in there to order Charismatic Cheetah t-shirts. I got some Dr. Michael Heiser t-shirts as well. I've got Charismatic Cheetah coffee mugs. So that helps me out a lot. And as usual, bless God and bless others. Thanks, LA.
Thanks, Michael. God bless you. Take care.